So Travis Scott has come out denying the allegations that he is in any way responsible for the Astroworld tragedy.
He's filed what's called here a general denial in one of the lawsuits. And all that is basically one sentence long that says, I deny all the allegations. You don't get into the specifics of how the complaint was laid out. You just say, look, you'll find out all the bases for my denial after we get into the litigation. For now, just know I deny everything and throw out the lawsuit I want out.
And the Twitterverse has exploded. A lot of people really criticizing him because they feel it was sort of a callous kind of response to this. But Derek, this is just the way things go. This is, lawsuits have been filed against him seeking billions and billions of dollars. He's got to mount a defense. The first stage in these defenses is to file a general denial.
Yeah, I think if people were expecting, no one ever gets litigation filed against them and then files an admission. That's just not the way it works. He needs to set up the very best defenses he can because at a minimum, he wants to bring down the settlement value because he's facing these huge, huge numbers. Billions of dollars. Travis Scott is a rich man. He's not billions of dollars rich.
No, I think the whole thing is here. I think everybody expects Travis Scott is going to pay money, a lot of money. The question is it $6 million? Is it $60 million? At $6 million, he's fine. At $60 million, he's probably closing in on bankruptcy, and anything more than that might devastate him and, for generations to come. And so his whole goal here is going to be, obviously we have 11 people dead, we have hundreds injured, there's got to be a lot of money paid. Travis Scott's goal here is to say, look, I realize this is a horrible tragedy, but it's not my fault. Somebody else is going to have to pay.
I think you're exactly right. So the next step of all this is the finger pointing because Travis and Apple and Live Nation and a host of other defendants are being sued in this litigation. What Travis wants to say is, I was just on concert. I was performing. I was unaware of what was happening, and I couldn't really do much to stop it. I don't have the kind of control you think at my concerts that I do. The real responsible parties, he's going to say, are Live Nation, who had the security for the event. He's going to say the cops weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. He's going to say maybe even Apple had a contractual responsibility to have some security. All those are ways of saying, you guys, this is a tragedy, but it's not on me.
The real rubber is going to meet the road when he starts, and I think he might have to, starts pointing at individuals, right? If he finds out that one of the deceased or many of the injured were completely wasted on drugs or whatever it might be, he might say it's actually partially their fault. And in Texas, they have sort of a weird, what's called comparative negligence statute. If one of the plaintiffs is found by the jury to be 50.1% responsible for what they did, then nobody has to pay a penny to that plaintiff. They lose everything. So if somebody was tweaked out on drugs and a conservative Texas jury comes forward and says, well, that's more their responsibility than anybody else's, they receive nothing. And honestly, they're defending themselves against bankruptcy. They're going to have to point these fingers, right?
I think Jason's right. Ideally, he wants to point it at other defendants, but you need to defend yourself in any way possible. And at some point, he's going to have to point the finger potentially at some of these plaintiffs, and that's where things are going to get very, very interesting, right? Because that's going to seem very unseemly to the public. What is going to be the public response when Travis Scott files a document that says this person who died at Astroworld, it was partly their fault? It's going to be a strange day for him.
It's going to be nasty, but this is the way the cases are defended, and he's no different than anybody else. He's fighting for his financial life. I mean, we're talking about, again, hundreds of potential plaintiffs, tens of billions of potential damages, and Travis Scott is rich. He ain't that rich.
Yeah, after this is the very beginning. You have the complaint that's filed and you have an answer. Those are the two basic documents. Now we get into the interesting stuff, the depositions, the collection of other types of evidence. As you get closer and closer to trial, you learn more facts and more about how they're going to defend themselves, and that's where you're going to really see the litigation take shape, and you'll see, is this going to settle, or are we going to actually have a trial about this?